We are back on the set of The Gloves Are Off, and things are definitely starting to heat up. I've heard the evil laugh.
Get out of your chair now, pal. I had to get one in, you know.
Yes, you got
$1 million man can't get one up, so.
And if only you had the $100 bill that you could, you know, take on once you were done with them, that would be even greater.
Stand up.
No, I'm staying right here, man.
Don't come off the yacht.
Right here, I'm comfortable. Well, now it's time for Offside Onside, and we've got a question here. We've got it queued up. We're going to put it on the screen for everyone watching at home. Here is the statement today. The pressure to be successful and entertain has always been intense in the world of professional wrestling. Improvements in technology and medical reporting have made steroid use and abuse more visible in recent years. However, that does not necessarily mean that dangerous performance-enhancing drugs haven't been a part of the sport and business in the years past. So clearly, you have so much experience in this sport and this business, because really it is a business. We're talking about a $500 million industry. Offside or onside?
You know, I agree. The pressure in the past has definitely been there.
Yeah.
And when I say pressure, it's not pressure from, you know, the WWE. It's pressure amongst your peers. It's pressure that, you know, if I'm going to make it big, then I need to look as good as I can possibly look. And I know personally that, you know, when I was wrestling, I started to. I took a little testosterone, but I was always afraid. I mean, I kept asking doctors questions all the time. And finally, I had a doctor say to me, he said, Ted, it's like this. He says, let's say that you had a dormant tumor or cancer in your body that you'd carried from birth, which I didn't know you could do. And, you know, you're taking steroids, and it's like playing Russian roulette. Click, click, click. You might, by taking the steroids, set off something in your body that could potentially kill you that might have never bothered you. I said, that's it. You know,
so
because I mean, you look at me. I was never, you know, my thing was never, you know, looking like Charles Atlas. It was my mouth and my ability in the ring. But the pressure in the past has been there. But the WWE today, you know, I'm so glad to see that the advancements they've made in their program. Their wellness policy today, in my opinion, is state of the art and second to none. To the point where the company sends out a letter annually to everybody that's ever been under contract for them. If you are suffering from any type of substance abuse, we will help you, and we will put you through rehab. So they're doing all they can.
Now you obviously had.
I've been shut up that long in my life. I was going to click him over there.
Well, you had the help of some pads and the extra, you know, little height from your skates and everything.
See, way back, you know, in the days when it was leading up, I so see how it all worked, where guys just had the pressure to perform, to be big. I disagree with it so much now with the advancement of training facilities, trainers, and how they are being so much more natural in how they get players. But still, West Monroe football in Louisiana, their average offensive line, when I was back there, was 305 pounds in high school. In high school, their coach was on ESPN saying, "Well, do you give them any enhancements?" I do, whatever it takes.
Wow.
That's where you get a little bit crazy, and I'm so against what these boys are doing to themselves and their health and well-being. And again, with the training, and this is my final, with the new training and the technology we have today, you don't need it.
You're absolutely right. Athletes today, if they're smart and they use what is available, that's legal, and it's not going to harm their bodies that way, and they know how to do it. They can do just almost as much as if they were taking enhancements.
Is it scary to you though too? I mean, obviously the history of the life expectancy of people who have worked in your business, it's alarming. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. Is it? I mean, you mentioned that you have a son. Is it something that you're?
But most of the deaths that you're talking about weren't due to steroid abuse. It was due to recreational drugs.
Right.
And that, to me, again, those are character issues.
Yeah.
It's like when the Chris Benoit story came out. I knew Chris personally. Nobody was more shocked than I was about that, because it was not. If you'd have asked me to pick the 5 guys that had the most stellar character in that company, he'd have been one of them.
Wow.
So it was just.
So what do you think it was then that this is the trigger point?
You know, it was something personal.
Yeah.
It was something personal, and I know that Chris did a lot of crazy stuff. You know, and he had a history of concussions, and I've heard them talk about the fact that may have had something to do with it. But at the time that this happened, it wasn't because he was under the influence of heavy steroids. I mean, that's already.
And that's a good point there too, and a very true point. It's not just, the steroids are so bad, but I know a lot of guys. John Cordick, Edmonton. I know the family real well. John, good young man, had some troubles. He was on it, but he had other issues, recreational, major league, and to see a young man at his age pass away was just, you know, these are lessons, and I don't know why young people don't figure it out, that it's not, could be the end. And I never forget Lyle Alzado, I said it earlier on Oprah, and with his wife sitting beside him, knowing that he had less than 2 or 3 weeks to live, and telling everybody in football, don't do it, look at me. I mean, I don't want to wreck anyone. This guy was on Goonies. I actually watched the show. He was the monster in it, you know. But what a great man, and to see that happen is just horrible. So
well,
kids,
there you
stay
go.
off of it.
For everyone at home watching, and I think both of you are sending very good messages, obviously from different businesses, but can still, you know, come together and relate, and sort of hopefully everything's hitting home and resonating with everyone about how serious it really can be. We have to take a commercial break, but we will get to some of your questions in our Sound Off segment when we return. Stay tuned. All right, we are back, and it's time to talk a little strategy session here, because the Lloydminster Bobcats are off to an unreal start. Coach Curran, you've got a big one coming up on Wednesday, though. What are the next couple days going to be like for you?
Well, the boys took the day off. I mean, if anyone was at the game, I was so proud of my guys. I mean, they just busted for, 180 minutes. Or a little more, because we went to overtime in 2 of them. And they didn't quit, and I think if you were at the game yesterday, I think one moment defined the whole weekend was when Jeremy Perron scored the game-winning goal, and you were at the game. I know you would have thought that we just won the Stanley Cup, the way those boys flew off that bench.
They flew off.
I mean, it was the biggest thing. And I know it's only 3 games into the season, but what I tried to promise our community here is they were going to be a very hard-working team, and they weren't going to they were going to be relentless and bang people and crash people. And if people didn't see that this weekend, then you might as well stay away from the game.
Exactly. All right, well, Ted, we're going to get a chance to ask you both really some questions when we return after the break, but stay tuned. We're going to sound off next. Welcome back. It's time to sound off, and now Brian and Ted are both going to answer a question that was sent in to us here on the set of the Gloves. For both of you, when or if you're trying to encourage young athletes, what's the best piece of advice you can give them? Ted, $1 Million Man.
Well, I have a son that followed me into wrestling, and I have a younger boy that's as well in the WWE's developmental program. I told my boys to stay humble. I said, you be the first one in the ring and the last one out.
Nice.
I said, you work hard and always be coachable. I said, I don't care how good you get. The moment you think that you've arrived, you're gonna quit learning, and you're gonna start going the other way.
Okay. And Brian, what about for you?
Jeremy Roenick, the immortal words, work hard and be smart.
I like
would
that.
Be his. The other one is, don't ever forget where you came from. Keep your feet grounded. Don't keep them up in the stars. You lose your focus too quick. Keep them on the ground. All
right, well, that's all the time here we have at the Gloves. Ted, thank you so much for being here. Coach, always a pleasure. We're out of time, but stay tuned next week. We'll be right back at it. The Gloves are off.
The Gloves Are Off is proudly presented by Sabre Communications Lloydminster, your SaskTel authorized dealer.